Hello, folks. Good evening. Welcome to another edition of Just Banter. Interesting times that we've been living in, wouldn't you say? A lot has been happening all over the world. A lot of people glued to their television sets, looking at what has been going on in the United States, for instance. And then, of course, we still have the issue of COVID-19. People still talking about all the issues of all the issues of COVID-19 and all of that. A lot of pressure everywhere, a lot of crisis, a lot of people are sick and tired of the entire stress of having to be under lockdowns in different parts of the world. Pretty testy times for everybody. But hey, we still have to make the best out of it because, come to think of it, there's several people who are still making tons and tons and tons and tons of money from all of what's going on right now. There's some people in the tech industry, some in the food industry, even in delivery services, so many different little aspects of life, and people are actually making quite a bit of money. Even retailers, because when you look at it, this that giant called Amazon, they can't fulfill everybody's orders. So, yeah, small retailers are fulfilling oh, a lot of the demand in their neighborhoods, and they're actually doing quite a bit. So things are still happening. So it's not all gloom and doom like most people would think it is. That's definitely not the case. So it's just a case of repositioning, realigning, and trying to find what your own niche is and how you could tap into the new norm, as what you're going to be calling it. Now, before we get on with the show of today, we're going to take a quick commercial break and we'll be right back shortly after this. Hi, once again. Now, 2021 started out on a sour note for a few people. For some of the people that we're talking about the African Irish community in Ireland, where there was a sad incident that happened on the 30th of December, where a young man named George Nkencho was shot dead by the police in front of his house. And it threw the entire community into turmoil. Why? Well, because it's a rarity to actually see anybody get shot dead in the Republic of Ireland. It's a very, 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 very rare situation. But at the same time, much more rare for the African Irish community. Judge was 27 years old. Yes, he did commit a crime, more or less, by getting child altercation and whatever, and police telling him to turn himself in, and he didn't. That's a crime in itself. But whether he deserves to die or not is still a matter that's very contentious. There's a deep investigation going on into all the circumstances surrounding how Judge died, both by the authorities and by independent organizations collaborating with the authorities to figure out how that happened and to see if this can be prevented from happening any other time. Very, very, very sad. Now, there are so many things that have been said because the thing has raised racial tensions in the Republic of Ireland. And the funny thing about it is, Judge had no prior convictions. As a matter of fact, he was said to have had some mental health issues. Now, these are really contentious times for people. Why? Because a lot of people are under lockdown in different parts of the world. So mental health is a case or an issue that is so high on the priority of different governments right now all over the world. You all have to look after your mental health. If you know anybody that has mental health issues, please reach out to the person and try to help the person out, either by calling on family members of the person if the person is not related to you, or friends of the person if you know the friends of the person. But try and make it as subtle as possible, because somebody suffering mental health, of course, that person not necessarily rational anymore. So the person could take it in really bad faith that you actually did something like that, calling in other people to say that this person is not, acting normal, because normal in itself is a very, very relative word. So we actually have to be quite careful when we look at other people and trying to figure out what their mental state is. Well, we usually do have people who are close to us who do have these mental health issues. So we need to keep a close eye on them. Also, we were talking earlier on about a guy, or rather a young boy, 11 years old, 10, 11 years old, thereabouts, JS1 in Akwa Ibom State in Nigeria, who had undergone molestation by his peers in the secondary school where he was. Pretty terrible. We do hope that they do get justice for him. It's been really nasty. We don't know, the extent to which the government's investigation will go, but we did hear from reliable sources that the Nigerian police has also waded into the matter, and they're taking over the investigations for that particular issue. We all need to be very watchful over our children. Our campaign against rape is still on. It's still very, very strong. We're still fighting very, very hard and telling people, say no to rape. Make sure that it is a pandemic that is wiped off the surface of the earth if possible. Our women, our children, and the elderly as well, because they're equally vulnerable, they need to be protected. We need to look after them, because without them, we don't have a healthy society. And without a healthy society, we can't thrive. We keep talking about business, we keep talking about developments and stuff like that, but then we don't look inwards. We don't look in the mirror and ask ourselves, are we doing the best that we can when it comes to your fellow human beings? Because as good as any process might be, as brilliant as any machinery or technology might be, you still need people, either to work the machines or to buy the products and services from you. Now, somebody that is not healthy in mind cannot buy anything from you, because they probably can't even earn a living. So it is something that we all need to look into. We all need to start working on it. Remember, you have those hashtags on your screen. Type something, tweet something, post something. Say no to rape. Say no excuse. Please, please, please support this campaign. Let's get this thing going forward. Now, we're supposed to be having a show tonight. Our guest has a few technical issues, but he's going to join us in the next couple of minutes, and we're still on it. So stay tuned. We're still going to get back to that, because what? We need to figure out what's going on in Africa. We need to start looking at how to develop Africa. We need to start looking at how to develop the vast potentials of Africa. Why? Because Africa is the next destination for the entire world. The entire world is focusing on Africa. Everything is there, from the vast mineral resources to the vast arable land to the fantastic weather that you have, diverse as well, all over Africa. So in terms of tourism, we haven't even scratched the surface. Africa has untapped potentials that are mind-boggling. And one of them is also agriculture, which is what we'll be talking about tonight. Well, in the meantime, everybody was glued to their TV sets over the week, looking at what was going on in the United States. Amazing, isn't it? Not something to celebrate, but it brings to mind something. Over time, a lot of people have actually looked at Africa and said that African countries were banana republics. Somebody went as far as calling some countries in Africa shithole countries, if not the entire Africa. Now, one of the things that a lot of people used to criticize Africa for was the type of politics that we used to practice. A lot of violence was attached to it. And we saw where different people were being attacked over time, different stuff, assassinations, all sorts of stuff happening, coup d'etats all over Africa. Now, nobody ever thought that you see that in quote unquote developed countries. But in recent times, we are seeing different stuff happen. Take, for instance, a little while back in Taiwan, some members of the parliament walked into the parliament with pigs' intestines, and they were spraying it all over the place, hitting each other with stuff. messed up the whole place. Quite unimaginable, if you ask me. But hey, what were we going to do? Sit down and watch and say, okay, so this can happen over there. Yes, it does happen in different parts of the world. What's been underplayed, and Africa always receives the brunt. We always receive the short end of the stick. Why? Probably because we don't tell our own stories enough. We never come out and say, that's not exactly the true story. There are different aspects to that story. Now, what happened in the United States was absolutely disgraceful. Absolutely. People invaded the Capitol building. Now, we have seen different things happen in different parts of Africa, but I'm not sure we have actually seen something like that before, where people would actually go into the parliament buildings and destroy stuff. I mean, the magnitude of it is I don't know. I can't use the words that come into my head. I can't use those words on screen because it's unfortunate that that type of thing would happen. Politics of cynicism, politics of narcissism. In every contest, there must be a winner and there must be a loser. Why will it get to a point where people will get violent? It's unbelievable that things like that still happen, but it's absolutely much more unbelievable that it actually happened in the United States of America. Shocking. Quite shocking. Unfortunately, a few people lost their lives. 5 as of the last count, if I may recall, including a police officer who lost his life as well in the line of duty. Very sad. It's always sad to hear that a policeman loses his life. Not that any other life is less valuable, but simply because they actually take on the risk, knowing fully well that that could happen. So when it does happen, it is sad because their primary duty is to protect the lives of other people. So their lives should not be taken for something like that. What for? It's sad. Really, 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 really sad. Now, I think our guest is somewhere in the studio right now. So we're going to take another short break and we'll be back shortly. And then we'll be talking to Mohammed Mustapha about the agribusiness in Africa, the vast potential, various things that can happen depending on what your approach is. One of our focus this year is to try and make as many people informed enough to become self-independent financially. We'll be right back shortly after this. Hello, folks. If you're just joining us, you're welcome to another edition of Just Banter. And tonight we're going to be discussing the agribusiness in Africa, the vast potential, the unimaginable magic that can happen when you look at the agribusiness in Africa. Now, 65% of all uncultivated arable land left in the world lies on the continent of Africa. But yet, Africa spends 35 billion US dollars. Yep, 35 billion annually importing food. A figure that is set to rise to well over $100 billion by the year 2030. Surprising, yeah? Well, according to the World Bank, agriculture and agribusinesses will be a $1 trillion business by 2030 in sub-Saharan Africa. Agriculture and agribusiness currently contributes 32% of the GDP of Africa and employ over 65% of the population. Now, when you look at those figures, it tells you the vast potentials that are possible and the type of magic that could possibly come from it. Now, tonight, we're going to be discussing with an agri entrepreneur, somebody who knows what he's talking about because he's been in the field for several years. He's somebody that has decided to roll up his sleeves and take advantage of the potentials that exists when it comes to the agribusiness in Africa. We're going to be talking to Mohammed Mustapha, and he is the CEO of AfriLife. Hello, Mohammed. How are you today?
Yeah, I'm good, Habib. Welcome to 2021.
Welcome to 2021. It's a pleasure to have you on the show today.
Same here.
Yes, it's been an amazing, year past 2020. We saw quite a lot of dynamic change in terms of disruption, that is, and that's talking about COVID-19.
Yes.
But in that same light, so many people have been able to tap into that change in itself and have been able to develop, especially when it comes to agri-products. But still, we have seen that Africa is not tapping fully into the potential that are available. Now, you are a master in your field. You do your thing. We have seen you take things from scratch and build it into a very sustainable business. Now, first things first, most of the viewers would like to know, who is Mohammed Mustapha?
Yeah, basically, before I get to say who is Mohammed Mustapha, I would want to throw this in so that we get to ponder over it, so that by the time we're talking, we would be able to understand why certain things are the way they are. Okay. It is said that I will give seed to the sower and bread to the eater. That is the Bible speaking.
Oh, okay. I was wondering if that was a biblical term. Yes, go ahead.
Yeah. I will give seed to the sower and bread to the eater. So I think the viewers and all of us will ponder on that, so that by the time we start discussing, we'll know where we are today. Mohammed Mustapha, otherwise known as Mr. Mo. Mr. Mo is a personal brand outside AfriLife. He's the Chief Operating Officer.
Not Chief Executive. AfriLife.
Yeah.
Yes.
COO. Yeah. AfriLife Natural Products. I've been in the banking industry for a very short time. I was fortunate to be part of the foot soldiers that were there when the banking harmonization and everything came to where we have banking in Nigeria today. So we saw the crisis and everything. So it's been an interesting journey, but at a point in time, I had done a few other things while trying to find my path. And that also saw me go back to banking, where I got involved with cards and e-banking. And then I woke up one day and I resigned to nowhere, actually. To nowhere, actually. I didn't know where I was going, but I just knew I had to.
So when you say you resign, you woke up one day and you resigned to nowhere.
Yeah.
What informed that decision? Why did you take that step?
I wasn't fulfilled. That's the word. I wasn't fulfilled. Yes, I was doing everything. I was enjoying it, but I wasn't fulfilled. There was a gap. There was something missing. Yeah. But when I found AfriLife, even though we're not where we want to be yet, I feel very, very fulfilled. Yes, when people say you do your thing, they think that everything just comes together for you. Yeah, but it takes time. It takes time.
It's all a process.
While you're in the process, you may end up even begging to survive. Yeah, but in that space, there's a lot of fulfillment for me, which I didn't get while I was doing all these other things I was doing. So that's why I said I just woke up one day and So I married with 2 lovely daughters and a son, and I just like to relax with family when I have free time. So most times I have to create a free time anyway. So that's who I am.
Okay. So now, when it comes to the agricultural sector in Africa, a lot of people have seen a lot of challenges. One of the primary challenges are the fact that you have so many small-time farmers. As of the last count, anybody doing any type of poll or any type of survey to see how many there were about 33 million small farmers on the African continent. Now, in a country like Nigeria, you might find somebody farming on just 100 by 100, sized land, which is about 100 to 1,000 square meters. And that is still seen by some people in his environment as being large. For a lot of them, it is subsistence farming. One now starts to wonder that with the vast amount of people on the African continent, the vast amount of land, 65% of the uncultivated arable land in the world is still in Africa. Yes. How come we are still so poor when it comes to agriculture?
All right. I gave an opening. I said, I will give seed to the sower and bread to the eater.
Okay.
It's very deep. What we get here in Africa, we get a lot of AIDS, a lot of, crying for help here and there. So we're getting bread. We're eaters. That's why we do a lot of importation. That's why we, with all the arable land and smallholder farmers and, the large ones and everything, we're still where we are. We've not taken time to sow. Sowing, it's a different process entirely. With the smallholder farmer, the guy that does 100 by 100, 1,000 square meters, who is small, yes. But with the blessing of Africa, if he tells you what he brings out of that 1,000 square meters, you'll be shocked. It is not a curse. Rather, it is supposed to be something that would help us. How do I mean? The big guys take from the big farmers, right? So where is a startup guy going to get his stuff from? Because, I do value addition, not farming. AfriLife is a food processing company.
Yeah.
So we need the farmers to give us grains to process into finished product, which are the AfriLife products.
Yeah.
Now, as a startup company, where do you go? To the big guys? There's a cartel everywhere. You go, even with these small farmers, there's a cartel that would have taken from them and then bring it to the main market for you to buy. They control the price. So it's big business in Africa already, the way it is, even though that it's still very crude and all of that. We just need a little refinement. And then our farms, in as much as they're small, the guys who, part of the reason why we still have a lot of subsistence farmers has to do with our, of course, development level. The guys can't bring their products to the marketplace. So you find that most of it is waste. So post-harvest waste is a serious problem.
Lack of infrastructure. Okay.
Lack of infrastructure, storage of every kind. So that's why when you look at the agri value chain, most times a lot of people tend to just stick to the production, which is farming. That's just one part of the value chain. There's a whole lot more involved. So that's why I said we're eaters. We just believe that we should farm this little and eat.
Okay. So Mohammed, for the benefit of the viewers, when you say there's a lot more to the value chain, can you give a couple of examples apart from production? What else?
What else? Like I said, so let's get to storage.
Okay.
The farmer has done his job. The seasons are going over, and then they hurry to sell off especially when it has to do with perishable
Products.
produce like tomatoes, pepper, and stuff. They hurry to sell off. Yeah. And then instead of some guy to look at it and say, oh, how do I have a storage facility? It could be in that locality, or it could be a little bit away, so that it doesn't take too long to get to where it should get to. But even at that, from point A to point B, what happens to haulage? The only haulage we know here is the big trailer guys, the small other guys. What happens to cooling vans that can take this produce from point A to point B? Distance not being a problem. So I've talked about haulage now, transportation. I've talked about storage.
Yeah.
You have, of course, what I do, processing. There's a lot more value along that line that can be added. In the area of value addition alone, there's a lot to do. So much.
Yeah, so much. Because, one of the benefits of what I do is I have the privilege of learning every day. Now, you just mentioned something that never crossed my mind. I knew of a few things. I knew about the haulage issues. I knew about, the storage. I knew about the branding part, because somebody reached out to me a couple of months ago and was talking about the scarcity of bags to actually put rice in. How somebody was already producing bags, but the guy has been inundated and is not able to meet up to demand. But I did not at any point in time think of refrigerated transportation between point A and point B, which is from production to even storage. That didn't cross my mind. And these are the type of things that people want to hear, that they want to know, so that they can know where they can tap into when it comes to the value chain. So yes, please go ahead.
So that's it. Most times when people talk about agribusiness, the next thing you hear is, oh, I am looking for probably 1 hectare, 2 hectares, 10 hectares, depending on their capacity. And I'm quick to tell them, well,
and all that.
I'm not interested in that aspect of it.
Yeah.
A lot of guys will tell you, oh, I want to go into agriculture. What do you say about fish farming, like you mentioned? And I said, okay, fine, fish farming is good. But you know what? Everybody is going to own a fish pond. Have you thought about going into the fish feed?
Okay.
There's a huge gap there. The fish feed. There are a whole lot of fish ponds, yes. What about the feed? What about the fingerlings? Some people should do just fingerlings. So just look at the value chain. Where do I fit in? What can I do? You mustn't, you might want to do a part of it and you think, oh, this is too huge for me. But you should have an entry point. What about marketing, sales? All these are part of the value chain.
All of it, yes.
And remember, everything in life is about sales. So if you do all of this production and there's no sales,
then you don't have a business.
You have no business. In fact, if there's no marketing that would lead to sales, you have no business. And a whole lot of people don't understand the marketing and sales game. So if you understand it, if that's your strength, why not? Consult. You don't have to be a big guy. As little as it is, consult for people to say, okay, fine, I can help put your product out there. Even if it has to be through social media or something, you must be able to do. There's always something you can do, no matter how little. Yeah. So that's why I said we're where we are. Most times I went for a training organized by a bank around entrepreneurs and all of that. And then we got talking and somebody said, oh, they had started a factory, spent X amount of millions of naira, and it never took off. I say, yes, that's because you felt you had the money, so you could go in here without the know-how. You can start from the end, marketing, sales,
Yes.
and then work it back to where you actually want to be. Probably you don't have monies for the store, for the cooling vans, the refrigerated trucks. You know, they're very small ones even. About this is less than about 6 feet, 6 feet, 4 feet wide, you know, cooling vans, very small ones that can
Yes.
carry probably about, you know, less than a ton of produce. You can start from there. You mustn't start from, you know, up there. Start and build it up. I want had to talk to some senior, I'll call them senior friends, who were looking at what they could do with agriculture. But you know, everybody keeps looking at where to put the big money. No. I tell people, even if you have $1 million, come back, behave like you have nothing, so that you can start and learn the process. Very important.
Oh,
And
yeah.
then eggs, for example, a lot of people just do production. A lot of people just do, oh, I keep layers, they lay eggs, I sell off, we eat them. So that's why I say we're eaters. That's why we're always getting bread.
No value, no value added.
No value added. There's a lot that can be done with eggs beyond just producing that egg. The shells, the yolk, the white. There's so much that can be done with eggs. You know,
So all that you're saying now, you know, seems to bring into glaring, you know, focus why African farmers seem to be so poor at the end of the day. Because when you look at the quote unquote developed countries, you see how well farmers live. Why? Because a lot of them actually have some value added services or production that they do after their initial farming. We've
yes.
seen the issue of the chocolates, for instance, the chocolate bar. We look at how much cocoa farmers are being paid for their cocoa. And then we look at how much a chocolate bar costs.
Chocolate is.
You know, so when you look at things like that, you know, you have to start asking yourselves several questions. Is it a lack of information? Or is it a lack of infrastructure? Or is it a case of there are just so many moving parts and it's a bit difficult to put your finger on it and say, this is where we need to start from?
I think it's about knowing where to start from. You know, we talk cocoa. You mustn't do cocoa in large quantity like they do in developed countries. You know, that's the problem again in Africa. We say, oh, these guys are here. You know, we want to start from there. You don't know how long. Some of these guys have been around for 100 years, 50, 30 something years. And then you want to just jump to where they are. How do you do that? You have to start from somewhere. And then again, there's another problem. We Africans, when we see African product, we're like, oh, this is whack. This is substandard. This is this is that. But remember, in Nigeria, there was one time there was a lot of this is made in China. You know, when they tell you this is China, it means it's not good.
It means I remember the days of made in Taiwan, made in China, where you reject the products as an out.
Yeah. You know that period in time, China was going through a lot of test run, a lot of starting small, a lot of, you know, let's try our hands on this and that. And they were churning out a lot of products. Of course, feedback would come. And then today, where is China? Everybody's going to China because they've perfected their art. So that's what we don't want to do in Nigeria. We have people tell us, oh, AfriLife, yeah, your product is nice, but packaging is this is this. I think you guys should do this. I think we say, yes, we know. We already have the end in mind. but we need to build towards it. You need to patronize us. Feedback. Oh, I think it should be like this, it should be this, it should be feedback. And as you feedback, we keep refining. So talking about chocolate again, we can take our cocoa. Beyond chocolate, there's also cocoa cream and all of that. A whole lot that can come out from cocoa.
Oh yes, a whole lot.
Do what you want to do with it. Let us patronize it. Very key. Patronage. Very, very key. Everybody wants the best. But the truth is, if Africans patronize Africans, it's part of when we say African solutions to African problems. So if Africans anywhere in the world patronize African products and do not despise it, do not say, oh, this is not what I'm used to. This is not like, what comes from the developed climes. Of course, it cannot be. If you go down history, a lot of products that we use today that are imported, they were not as refined as they were when they started.
Well, most definitely. Look at Coca-Cola, for instance. When Coca-Cola started, what was Coca-Cola?
I didn't want to mention any product on air, but since you mentioned,
yes. But
it's Coca-Cola. A lot of people don't know that Coca-Cola initially sold in pharmacy.
They didn't know that it was a tonic.
But over time, Coca-Cola, what did Coca-Cola say? What is their philosophy? That they want to replace water. And that is why they have the kind of marketing that they have. Every corner you turn to, there's a Coca-Cola sign, Coca-Cola something. So when you're thirsty, you think about Coca-Cola. So you naturally ask for Coke before any other thing. We can do that in Africa, and that is what AfriLife is about. One of the things that is driving AfriLife is that we want to prove to the world that Africans can start from the scratch and build up a company to world class. In Africa, when you say you're a startup, it's recently that we're getting to understand the startup philosophy. But when you say you're a startup company, a lot of people don't understand what you're talking about. They just think that, you started, you should be perfect. No. That's why we have startups. That's why, when startups go for funding, seed funding most especially, they don't have nothing. They only have an idea which they've proven on paper, business plan, that this idea will work. And then for the guys who understand it, they buy into the vision. And because they bought into it, the startup has the finance to begin to execute.
Well, in a lot of cases that doesn't even happen because what is a startup really? You're supposed to be able to come up with not an idea, but with a minimum viable product. And then refine that minimum viable product over a period of time. Enough to be able to use that particular product to convince people to see your vision.
Yes.
So I have seen lots of cases where people have sent different stuff to me personally, that is, and I've gone through what it is that they wrote. And in the first 3-4 questions, you get to know that this is not going to go anywhere. Why?
Anyway.
Because most of them focus much more on the money rather than on the product in itself.
That
has become the norm when it comes to quote unquote startups in Africa. Most of them keep talking about the money. They rarely talk about the product in itself. Now, how does that product deliver value? That is the key, because if it doesn't deliver value, then you can't generate any money out of it.
You can't go anywhere.
So I've seen
you must bring value to the marketplace.
Yes,
you must bring value to the marketplace. In fact, for you to create a stream of income Value. Value, number one.
There must be value.
There must be value. There must be access to market. So if you don't have value as the first step, every other road is closed. Yeah. So I didn't want to, I like to simplify things so that people can catch on and then build on it to move on. So that's why I didn't want to go into all of that. But of course, an idea will not give you money. But then again, for you to start anything, money is nowhere near one of the first things you need.
Yes.
For every time we say this in Afri-Life, people would almost beat us up and say, what do you mean? So how do you do this? How do you do that? I once had a senior friend give us a lecture on breakthrough some years ago. Then, of course, I was still working, so I didn't even understand what I was talking about. But one thing I picked that still stays with me to today was that lack of money should not be a barrier.
Yes.
And when he was asked, how do you mean? He never answered to say, okay, XYZ way. He just said, lack of money should never be a barrier. But when we started Afri-Life in 2017, I got to understand, and I kept telling my partner, I keep referring my partner to that word. Lack of money should not be a barrier. And of course, Jim Rohn, my great mentor, would also tell you that you need every other thing but money to start. A lot of people don't have skills. When we talk about skills in Africa, we keep talking about, when we say, oh, we want to do, what kind of skill do you, I saw somewhere somebody was like, okay, what skills do you want to acquire this year? Somebody said fish farming. I said, no. Nobody talks about marketing skills. Nobody talks about writing skills. Nobody talks about pitch, development skills. All of these skills is what will take you to where you're going. Yeah. So when you talk about product development, it's not money. Yes, you need money to,
prototype.
But you first need to have this. You can have all of these. You don't even have stamina, tenacity.
Oh, yes.
When, a few things, challenges come here and there, you back off.
You have to have a stomach of steel.
If there's anything beyond steel, like I said, I've stayed a whole 365 days, no income. And I have a family.
That usually is part of a true entrepreneur's story. But a lot of people don't get to see that. A lot of people keep thinking that when you're starting out, you should start making money like from day one.
Day one.
They forget that there's a process that you have to go through. That you have to go through the developmental stages. You have to go through the sustainable stages before you can now step back and say, okay, I run a business. Because the business has to be able to run on its own for you to actually say it is a business.
The only reason I can go to Zanzibar, for example, and relax is when you get to that stage where the business is sustaining itself. Because Afri-Life doesn't need me at a certain stage to be around to work.
That's brilliant.
That is why Dangote can be anywhere in the world.
Yes.
That's why Dangote can be playing golf on a Monday morning, because he has built and developed to that stage. Then, of course, it works. When you get to that stage, a lot of people will come and tell you, oh, you don't know what he has put his hands into. That's another thing that is holding us back in Africa. Oh, you don't know what he has put his hands into. Oh, he has government connections. Oh, he has,
a lot of undue sentiments.
But the truth again is this. Part of developing and growing is man know man.
Oh, yes.
If man does not know man, how do we connect? So man no man is not a negative thing, but in Africa we take it to be negative. You cannot know everybody, but know those you can know. I knew somebody who knows you, and that is why we're talking here today.
I would like you to hold that thought. We're going to get back to that issue of man, no man in the positive sense, which is how to develop a sustainable network for you to be able to fit into the agri supply chain when we get back right after this short commercial break. Stay tuned. Hello, folks. If you're just joining us, you're welcome to another edition of Just Banter. And tonight, I have a fantastic guest, Mustapha Mohammed, on, and we're talking about the agri-products supply chain in Africa. Vast potentials there. Just before the break, we're talking of man, no man, in the sense of you knowing the right people to be able to do business with, right? To be able to develop a sustainable network. Now, Mohammed, when you look at the Netherlands, for instance, over 60% of the agri-products distribution in the world takes place in that tiny country in Western Europe. When you go to a city like Rotterdam, for instance, you'll find out that practically everybody knows everybody there. We are a communal people in Africa, but yet,
yes,
that man, no man in the positive sense doesn't seem to be working. We always see the negative sides of the man, no man. What does it take to be able to develop that type of network that can make your business actually sustainable when it comes to the agri sector?
Yeah, you went over the point, but I think I got what you said. Now,
did you? Okay.
Yes, I did. I don't know how we got to the negative side, but of course we need to focus on the positive. That's why we're
on
here.
The positive sides, yes.
Taking it through the agri-products. You know, sometimes I've had to fly what we call Okada, you know, motorcycle transport, bike. And then knowing that this bike man is from the northern part of Nigeria, you know, I get into discussions with them. You know, what do you guys produce in your area and all of that? Because we deal with, yes, we deal with wheat, millet, and sorghum. So, of course, we got talking, and sometimes they tell me, oh, they have this farm, they farm XYZ, maybe wheat, for example, a lot where he comes from. And of course, I get to take his contacts because I will be needing to go. So by the time I'm going there, I call him, Ibrahim. Thank God I can speak, but even though you cannot speak outside, it's not a problem. Ibrahim, I'm going to Castina, for example. Are you in Castina or Abuja? Oh, I'm in Abuja. Okay, do you have anybody I can connect with in Castina? He connects you. See, Nigeria is not as bad as it is portrayed. Even with all of insecurity and all of that, I was in September, I was in Bauchi. Not just the city itself. I had to go to a place called Al-Kalari and this other village. I can't remember the name right now. You know, these are villages where there is no telephone network. But I met people on ground that I'd never seen in my life, and they helped me move around. They helped me choose the best grains. They helped me look for the best price. They even still call me to tell me that, look, the price is like this, or as at today, are you coming to the market? I've built a small network there. Would I have said, oh, no, these guys are not my level? Nobody has a level as far as you're going somewhere, as far as you're doing something, because you need everybody around what you do.
Yeah,
When
that's how to develop
that when they say that your network is your net worth, a lot of people think that you need to know the high and mighty. Yes, you need to know the high and mighty, but you also need to know the small guys, because they're the ones who have the key to the hinterland.
Okay.
So across board, you need to build a network. Like I have a guy who has, I think over 1 million farmers on his network. And we're talking to say that, look, we can solve your problem. Tell us what you want. We can get it out for you in seconds from the network. So you need to network across board. You need to know man. Probably because of the way we're structured, all the man that you know is that I'm looking for a job in one oil firm, in a government setting. So you need to know a senator, House of Rep, one big businessman or something to be able to get that job. But I think that the more we get productive, we'll begin to appreciate the guys at the grassroots. They're the ones who control the economy. I tell people, look, the real economy is in the grassroots. Look at COVID-19, for example, when all the pubs and stuff and everything everywhere was locked down. What happened? The economy was locked. But in some communities where the aboki at that corner could still, do his small stuff he does in the evenings, they call it fast food, where you can just do a quick tea, bread and egg and stuff. For me, that's the economy.
Business was still ongoing.
Business was still ongoing. We need to, understand that Africa has a strength by our population. You talked about over 33 million smallholder farmers. And I said it's a good one for us, because we can have a lot of startups who can offtake from these guys. You cannot say that, because the big boys are already in this business, I can't come in. No, you still have small farmers who are looking for who to take their products. You can be a solution for them.
Not just take their products. There are tons of small farmers who are looking for different types of services, but they have nobody to turn to. Yes, I spoke to sometime in 2019. We were in discussions that's the tech arm of our business. We were in talks with an association in Nigeria, an association of farmers for a particular kind of crop. And we're meant to develop a solution for them to be able to manage their produce, from weather reports to soil testing to all sorts of stuff, market forecasts, all those kind of things. The one thing that I did notice about them was this. In as much as it was a large organization, they had well over 150,000 of them in that organization. Yeah. They did not have micro associations within that organization. So if you're watching this is something that you can look into and you can probably work on. Cooperatives are the future of Africa, whether you like it
or not. Now, let me quickly say this. When I said that our population is a strength,
yes, it is.
There is a model of distribution that has been brought to Africa, but we still do not understand it. So we're not applying it in our African way, which is multi-level marketing.
Okay.
Like I said, marketing drives sales. If nobody knows about your product or anything you do,
nobody's going to buy it.
Nobody's going to buy. So multi-level marketing is person to person. That's where we come back to having a network again. It's about your family and friends. You use a product, you have a testimony, and you share your testimony with your family and friends. That's marketing.
Mm-hmm.
But we have a lot of foreign products brought to us, and then we do this for the money, not trying to understand the process. If we understand it, a lot of our agri-business challenges would be solved. Why? Because
multi-level marketing. Okay.
Because like it's just as straightforward as it is, multi-level, which means I can have a level, I can know 10 people, for example, and I do not know who each of these 10 persons know. As in, I don't have a control beyond that person.
Beyond that person,
the person doesn't have a control beyond, it continues like that. So it's layers. So, so they come and tell you that, oh, it's a pyramid. It gets to a point that you're stuck, you're this, you're that. It is not multi-level sales. It is multi-level marketing. Marketing is awareness creation.
Yes,
it is not sales.
Hello?
So we're back.
Yes, I can hear you now.
So sales is a different ball game. Before you get to sell, you must create awareness. You don't have, of course, you agree and you know that marketing is big business. You want to put up a billboard, you know how much that would come to. You want to do a TV advert, radio advert that runs into sustainable time, you know how much that will come to.
Even but social media nothing,
sure, but with nothing, you can create awareness for your business with multi-level marketing. Take 5 people, make them understand what your product is all about, make them use it and tell their friends. But the good thing here is that at the end of the day, it comes back to Naira and Kobo, because when the company makes sales because you created an awareness of its products, the company comes back and says, oh, thank you, Mr. Lagbaja, take 5% commission of the cost of you've made money. It could be small, but over time, because some companies go beyond just selling the first time. They say, oh, for every time this guy comes back, we'll keep giving you a little commission. This is because you created the chain of awareness. So we should continue to pay you more like royalty for every time they keep coming back to buy. Look at the population of Africa. A lot of products are pushed here because they know that we have what it takes to mop up these products. So why are we not using it to our advantage?
So one point
that's one of the model of distribution anyway that AfriLife is beginning to activate starting January 1st, 2021. We've activated that.
That was the question we're just going to ask now. So that does AfriLife actually have such a system in place, the multi-level marketing?
Yes,
where people could be probably resellers of AfriLife products and all that?
Yes, we do. And our goal for 2021 is to get AfriLife products into 20,000 households. By the end of 2021,
which is on a month-to-month basis.
Sorry, I didn't get that part before the month-to-month.
I said on a sustainable basis, on a month-to-month.
On a sustainable basis, this is the first phase. How do I mean? If we get Afri-Life into 20,000 homes, 2021, we're looking at a repeat purchase from these 20,000 homes over time. And remember, Afri-Life products are food products. And Afri-Life products not just being food products, they are healthy versions of our swallow. So that for those who want it helps you better manage your weight, blood sugar level, and cholesterol level. So that helps. That we have a lot of testimonies, a lot of feedbacks. Like I said, that is what drives how your business would grow, what you need to do next, and all of that. So we've been in the testing stage all this while, and now we're ready to roll out. So that's why we've said 20,000 homes by the end of 2021. Of course, we've kickstarted. It started 1st January. We've entered a few homes already, and it's a gradual process. So, and then we're using the multi-level marketing, like I said. I took products to a very senior sister of mine, and then in less than 48 hours, she posted it on her status, and I got a call from another woman who bought a carton of the product. Okay. And she said to me, I like it, it suits me, I like to eat healthy, I've shared it with my friends, so you're going to get calls. So you said that we live a communal life in Africa. So it should be to our advantage.
Yeah, it's like what happens when you come on Just Banter or another whatever other program on from a radio. We have not even gone ahead to show what Afri-Life does, and something has already happened. So, but first, for the sake of the viewers, I will show the video, and then I'll now tell you, Mo, what has happened in this short period of time. We'll be right back after this. Sorry, that was the wrong video. Now.
Oh, sorry.
So Mo, you've been talking about supply chain, getting into different homes, 20,000 homes, 2021. But guess what? Even before you got to that point, this was the first request. Any information on exportation from Africa. So people are already asking about your product. And that's the second one.
I'd like to know what plans Afri-Life has for international sales.
So both of them, same question, more or less, just phrased in different ways. So now you are looking at going into 20,000 homes sustainably in Nigeria in
Yes.
2021. But a few people are already asking, can I get the product resell, abroad? More or less. How do you intend to be able to fulfill that level of demand?
Interesting. As a company, we, like I said, our goal for 2021 is to reach 20,000 homes in Nigeria. Yeah. So we had not come to that point where we had fine-tuned exportation. But again, the beauty of multi-level marketing is that your products can get to where you do not even intend it to within that piece of your goal setting and all of that. So part of the sales that I brought up as an example of what happens with playing to our strength in terms of our communal living is that the products the other woman bought, she said part of it was going to Dubai.
Okay. All right. That's brilliant.
We didn't plan for that to happen. So I'm sure that by today she would have sent it. I've not gotten back to her to, in fact, I didn't intend to, but because of these two questions, I'm going to get back to her and ask if she has actually sent the product to Dubai. So we have a few other persons who in the past had a few packs sent to the US, UK, and like that. So that's in a very minute level, that's exportation. But of course, if we have guys who are ready to take the products beyond the shores of Nigeria, why not? Why not? We wouldn't need to say, oh, hold on, we're not there yet. No. Of course, the person is not going to come and take a shipload in one day. Like I said,
yes, definitely not.
Small.
There has to be a market penetration process.
Yes, the market penetration process. So why not? We're ready for exportation. All we need to do is look at what it takes for that to happen. Yeah, but like I said, it's already happening where some people here buy and send to their loved ones, in other countries within and outside Africa. But our thought process was that let us saturate home first, build up to Africa, and then to the world. But of course, if the world is ready to have AfriLife today, to the glory of God, I think that it is something that we can undertake.
But then we have seen, some processes that were inbound in terms of when it comes to the African products, that is. I'm not going to mention the names of the companies, but there were 2 or 3 of them who actually started, like in the UK, for instance, making some African-related products, swallow, that kind of stuff. And it was from there that the demand started back home in Africa, back home in Nigeria particularly, where people now started saying, my cousin was telling me that they had this in London 3 days ago. How come we don't have it here in Nigeria? So there's a strong possibility that you could actually have a lot of your inbound demand being from abroad. So if I were you, I would sell to Habib, and Habib will sell abroad from you. Because
of course, we don't have, like I said, we don't have any constraint to that. Why not? We're ready. If Habib says today, I need X amount of products, why not? Yes. Why not? The point is this. Remember that as Africans, because for every African I meet, my first question is, do you eat swallow in Kenya, Uganda, Ghana? And they're like, why not? So it is African to swallow. And we have a huge population of Africa in the diaspora. And because they're not home, they want to swallow you know, even more than the guys back home because
Oh
they
yeah.
miss the swallow thing. Yeah. So
That is the one thing that they don't get easily over there. So of course,
yeah, so they would even
the
value
demand
it
is there.
more because they don't get to see it. And then, like I said, the world has shifted actually to healthy eating, and that is
Oh
what,
yeah. Mhm.
part of the value that we bring to the market. So like I said again, yes, we had said this, but of course, if from these discussions we have it happening the other way, why not? Because that African in the diaspora is going to call back home and say, I had this. Have you seen it? Have you had it? Do you know about it? And it goes like, AfriLife, no. Oh, really? Check them out. Stuff like that. I was
Oh yeah.
talking to an old schoolmate in the UK, and he said, oh, he called the brother in Warri, somewhere in Delta States, in the Niger Delta, and the brother said, oh, he doesn't know about the product. I say, yes. The product had gone into Warri, but not on a large scale, still on this, multi-level thing. My family, my friend, and all of that. And I said,
They
yes, it's
still went
possible
through the
your brother
marketing
doesn't
and
know
distribution
it.
process.
We are in Abuja. We are in part of our test run. We are in all of the big stores in Abuja. Yeah. So,
Okay.
but we're not in the stores in Warri yet. So it could be difficult. The guy could go to the stores in Warri and it doesn't say there. So, but that is already part of what we're talking about. So, Habib, beyond you and any other person who is ready to have AfriLife products anywhere in the world, if there is the only reason, in fact, if there is no transportation system or what's the word again?
There's no freight system for you. You put
To
in the
get there,
wheelbarrow and roll it. You put in the
we
wheelbarrow and roll it there.
yes, because the AfriLife packaging that you saw in the video, it's our creation. When we started, we needed to move to something that was presentable.
Yeah.
And then we went to the market and we could not afford the minimum quantity. And then we came back and said, will this stop us from doing business?
Mm-hmm.
And of course, we went into research. We were like mad people picking paper, used packages of other products, going to every shop, looking at products from abroad, the look and feel of their packaging. And then we created what we have there. So like I said, one of the things that drives AfriLife is that we want to prove that Africa can start from the scratch
Yeah. You can
and take it
innovate.
to the world. So that is why we say that we are African and that we've got a continent to build.
I support that motion. That is what we are all about as
You're
well.
welcome.
Now, Mr. Mo, this has been a very, very insightful discussion. I've learned so much, so much in
Thank you.
such
Same here.
a short time. Unfortunately, our producers have indicated to us that, as usual, we have overrun, which we do constantly because we usually have such interesting discussions. Now, for Folake is from her message is coming in from the Republic of Ireland. For
Okay.
Alonso is from the United States. That is how far and wide word of mouth can go. By simply putting yourself out there and letting people know that you do exist. So, for those of you who have taken out the time to watch this, I hope you have been able to benefit one or two things listening to Mohammed Mustapha talking. You can see that there are quite a lot of avenues for you to actually latch on to the supply chain when it comes to the agribusiness in Africa. There's so much going on, so much. As a matter of fact, another thing that I picked towards the end was where he said that when it came to the packaging, they actually had to start picking different used packaging, assess them and see what it was that they could come up with. So another thing you could look at if you do not want to go into the production in itself, or if you don't have the wherewithal to start doing any form of post-production, is you could look into the branding side of things. You could look into packaging. You could look into graphics. You could look into, there's so much, so much that you can look into. Now, one of the keys to success, like we have heard in recent times, is you being able to niche down, you being able to pick a particular area, focus on it, and then become an authority in that area. So if, for instance, you're a graphic artist, you could look at people like AfriLife and go to them and tell them, you know what, I can help you do all your graphic stuff. They could put you on a retainer. If you have 10, 15 of such companies and you're on a retainership with them, you will have a sustainable living. If you are into packaging in itself, you don't have any machines or whatever, but it is something that you have an interest in doing, you can be the middleman. You could actually go to the likes of AfriLife, tell them, you know what, I can source this packaging cheaper for you than you actually are doing it right now. And go and find a packaging company who is willing to do a deal with you based on the volume of business you bring to them. And then you can actually be in the printing and packaging business. So there's so much value all around. It is just simply a case of trying to identify where it is that you can fit in. And there's enough for everybody on the table. Africa is a vast continent. We have a lot of human potential. We have a lot of potential to grow. Even the fashion industry is going to be worth about 42 billion US dollars in 2021. So that goes to show you that there are so many areas that you can look at and then you can grow. But for now, we're going to stick to the agribusiness because we have a follow-up episode to this, which is coming up on the 14th, where we're going to be talking to another agribusiness expert who's going to enlighten us a bit more. And then we're going to be able to put together both sides, which is Mohammed's side and the incoming guest. And then you'll now have a much more holistic view. And then you'll be able to pick out one or two things and now decide on which one you want to tap into and then try and start from there. We wish you all the best. And like we said, 2021, our goal is to be able to drive as many people to be self-sufficient as possible. Mohammed, it's been great having you on the show. We hope to have you on again sometime soon. Now,
Thank you.
If anybody wants to reach out to Mohammed, I'm sure Mohammed will give his contact to the producers. So you can always reach out to either Mohammed directly on any of his social handles, or you can reach out to any of our producers or any of our people here at Fromaradio and make your enquiries. And we'll definitely make sure that Mohammed gets your messaging. So what I just said now, somebody has already tapped into it. So I'll put that on screen just for the benefit of the viewers. So look at that. So Falake has come up. If you are looking for packaging, she's recommending Fedam Printing and Packaging in Abuja.
Word of mouth.
Word of mouth. So those are
multi-level marketing.
Multi-level marketing, networking, you watching programs like this, listening to other people talk, and then trying to find value in what it is that they have said. Then an idea will come to you, and then you'll be able to pick up from there. So we enjoyed having you on tonight, Mohammed, and we thank you, the viewers, for taking out the time to watch this. We'll see you next week when we talk to the next guest. Good night, Mohammed, and you have a great week ahead.
Yeah, good night, Abib. Good night, viewers.
Thank you. So, interesting. And that's just the beginning. Throughout the year, we're going to focus very, very strongly on doing things like this so that a lot of people can actually start thinking of other things that they can do, either as a full-time business or as a side hustle, and be able to generate multiple income streams and make more money. Tough times ahead. So you need to be tough. You need to be able to figure it out and say to yourself that, you know what, I can survive these tough times. So on behalf of everybody at Fromaradio.com and on Just Banter, we'd like to say thank you for taking out the time to watch. Now, our social messages, we never forget. We always will do that, regardless of whatever time it is that we take. We would like to start, of course, as usual, with the issue of rape. Please don't forget, our campaign is still on. Say no to rape. You can use the hashtags don't excuse, no to rape, and say something to at least show support. It's not money, it's not anything. You send text messages every day. So do a social message, let people know that you care and that you also are willing to fight against this pandemic from destroying whatever is left of our society as is. On the issue of COVID 19, please remember COVID 19 is still very real. A lot of countries are on lockdown, so we all need to stay safe. We all need to try our best possible to do the right things. Follow the proper protocols. Wash your hands as often as possible. Try and maintain a safe distance. The distance before was 2 meters, is now 1 meter because that seems much more feasible because of the amount of activity that people have to undergo on a day to day basis. But wherever you go, so far you're in a public space, in a public vehicle, please make sure that you wear a mask. Let's try and get this COVID 19 menace out. We know it's probably never going to go away. It's probably going to be like the flu. So at least let's try and get back to near normal as soon as possible. Thank you for taking out the time to watch. We hope to see you again next week when we do the follow up show on the Agribusiness. Take care and good night.